I was reborn on the day my husband Matthew Roberts cheated on me, and the first thing I did was ask my colleague Parker Clark to switch shifts with me. In my previous life, Matthew had an affair with my best friend Sophie Baker in a car behind my back. They suddenly got into a car accident and were both rushed to the hospital. When I received the news and hurried to the hospital, I saw that due to the crash, Matthew and Sophie's bodies had become stuck together. Later, Parker performed surgery on Matthew and Sophie. Both of them were fine, but I couldn't handle the shock and fainted on the spot. When I woke up, Matthew sent me divorce papers. The agreement demanded that I couldn't take any property with me and had to leave empty-handed. I used Matthew's infidelity as grounds to demand we split the assets 50-50. Matthew just sneered and said, "You're saying I cheated? Where's your proof?" Only then did I realize that because I was too shocked and had fainted, I hadn't taken any evidence of Matthew's affair. Plus, the hospital surveillance cameras happened to be broken. In the end, without proof of Matthew's infidelity, I lost the case in court and got nothing. On the day of the divorce, I walked out of the courthouse with nothing, completely dazed. While crossing the street, I was hit by a car and died. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day Matthew and Sophie were rushed to the hospital together. At the hospital, Parker, who had started working here the same time as me, was both surprised and delighted. After all, nobody wanted to work the night shift. He asked me, "Dr. Phillips, are you sure you want to switch shifts with me? If there's surgery, it's going to be really tough on you." My name is Elizabeth Phillips. I smiled and nodded, "It's fine. I'm feeling really energetic today. Even if there's surgery, I can handle it." Hearing this, Parker immediately packed up his things happily and left for the day. I turned around, dropped my smile, put on my mask, and prepared for surgery. Because I knew that in 20 minutes, Matthew and Sophie would be rushed to the hospital after a car accident caused by having an affair in the car, their bodies stuck together. In my previous life, Parker had performed this surgery. When I received the news and rushed to the hospital, I saw that scene and fainted immediately. Later, after Matthew and Sophie's surgery went fine, they asked me for a divorce and demanded I leave without taking any property. This time, I was going to make sure this pair of bastards lost everything. Sure enough, after about 10 minutes, chaotic sounds came from the emergency room lobby. Then Matthew's familiar, vicious screaming rang out. He shouted, "Sophie, don't move. You're going to break me. Help me. Where are the doctors? Where are the nurses? Get out here and save us." I peeked through the door crack. Sophie was lying on top of Matthew in an extremely awkward position. They were both naked, covered only by a bedsheet. All the colleagues present couldn't help but give them disgusted looks and whisper among themselves. A male doctor said, "What the hell is this situation? How did they end up like this? Coming to the hospital naked, don't they feel any shame?" A female nurse said, "They're obviously not in a proper relationship. They were just yelling about not letting anyone take photos. Probably afraid it'll get out." Sophie kept screaming too, then suddenly seemed to remember something. She lowered her voice and said, "Matthew, keep it down. Elizabeth works at this hospital. If she finds out about us, she'll definitely raise hell." Matthew heard this and snorted coldly. He said, "Don't worry. Elizabeth isn't on shift today. Besides, that idiot only cares about work and nothing else. What could she possibly figure out? If it weren't for her good family background, I would have divorced her ages ago. And with that haggard look of hers, I have zero interest when I see her. She's nothing like you." Ow. Even in this situation, Matthew kept staring at Sophie's body. I couldn't watch anymore. Fighting back my disgust, I put on my cap and mask properly, then suited up in full protective gear. Before walking out, I said directly, "Prepare for surgery immediately. If we delay any longer, these two are going to have more problems. Don't you dare dirty our hospital beds. Hearing this, my assistants and nurses couldn't help but laugh, their dissatisfaction even more obvious in their eyes. They could only push Matthew and Sophie into the operating room. I brought the medical camera into the operating room ahead of time, then instructed the nurses to take photos from every angle. Matthew heard the sound and turned his head to look over while lying on the bed. He said, "What are you doing? Why are you taking photos in the operating room? This is an invasion of our privacy. I'll sue you. Believe it or not." I sneered inwardly, but remained calm on the surface. I replied evenly, "Every angle on the operating table needs to be documented. This way we can better consult with professors and develop a reasonable surgical plan. If you're unwilling, then forget it." I deliberately put away the camera and turned to walk out. "Wait! We didn't say we were unwilling." Seeing me about to leave, Sophie hurriedly called out anxiously. She was lying on top of Matthew in a particularly awkward position. Even in this situation, she still lowered her head to persuade Matthew, "Matthew, the most important thing now is to get us separated quickly. We can't delay until Elizabeth comes to work tomorrow. If she finds out, things will be terrible." Matthew was still being stubborn. He roared, "How is that possible? All my family's assets are in my name. When the time comes, I'll just tell Elizabeth to get lost." "But wait, why does your voice sound so much like Elizabeth's?" Halfway through speaking, he turned his head to stare at me. His body was still stuck and couldn't move, but his mouth wouldn't stay quiet, looking at me with suspicious eyes. I froze. To change my voice and body shape, I had deliberately put cotton balls in my mouth, wore a mask, and even put on several extra lab coats to alter my figure. Could he still recognize me like this? Before I could think of a countermeasure, Matthew smiled smugly again. He said, "But looking at your reaction, you're definitely not Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the type who gets carried away by emotions. She goes crazy and fights with me just from discovering I'm chatting with other women. If she really saw me like this now, she'd probably have fainted already." Hearing his words, Sophie immediately burst into laughter. She said, "Yes, Matthew. Do you remember when I deliberately left a piece of underwear in your car last time?" Elizabeth's reaction was absolutely devastating. She called me crying in the middle of the night, not knowing that you were with me at that time. Matthew couldn't help but laugh too after hearing this, but after just a few laughs, his movements were too big and pulled at his body, making him cry out in pain again. The nurse nearby couldn't help but roll her eyes. She said quietly, "You're cheating and you're actually proud of it. Your wife is so unlucky. You two are really a pair of bastards." The nurses responsible for this surgery were all transferred from other departments. They didn't recognize me, so naturally they didn't know I was the Elizabeth they were talking about. Matthew endured the pain, his face flushed red. He said, "What do you know? Sophie and I share true love. Otherwise, how would we end up like this here? A man only gets like this. For the woman he truly loves, he can't get hard for women he doesn't love. Just like me, I never touch Elizabeth." Hearing his words, I felt nothing but disgust. Without the memories from my previous life, I never would have imagined that Matthew, who had always been so compliant with me and said I was the person he loved most in this lifetime, had actually been scheming for my assets from the very beginning. As for that pair of underwear, Matthew later explained to me that it belonged to his mother, but I never thought that was also a lie. This pair of bastards was truly disgusting. Thinking of this, the hatred in my heart grew even stronger. I took a deep breath and said, "Please lie still. I've already thought of the most reasonable surgical plan." With that, I picked up the scalpel and walked directly toward where their bodies were stuck together.